Welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and we are going to grab today's episode by the Helm. And I think it's going to be a good episode.
I think it is too. But before we talk about today's card, Ted, let's talk to everybody. Let's tell everybody how to keep in touch with us. Yeah. So if obviously you're listening to the pod right now or you're over on YouTube watching this episode, either way is great. Make sure you subscribe and like us. The other great thing is we have a blog, cardtalk2018.com. Matt takes and reviews the card pool one card at a time, just as we go through and record an episode about it. So you get 3 ways to enjoy one card. And so at some point we will get through the whole card pool and you'll be able to have our opinions about all the cards. But that's still another 3,000 years away. We'll be well into the 4th age by the time that happens. We have our bi-weekly, every other week playthrough series. Micah over there, he plays scenarios, has deck building restrictions that he follows, and then plays a particular scenario and talks to people. It's a lot of fun. And then we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cardtalk2018, where you can join us and support us for doing all the things that we do within the community, including the swag. So if you are this year has passed, but the next cycle for swag, we have another idea to move forward on for the next swag cycle. So it's exciting. That said, Ted, what is exciting about today's card?
Today's card is Squire's Helm. It is a 1-cost leadership attachment. Comes out of the Arid Mithrin Hero expansion, which has recently been repackaged by FFG. So it's 1 cost. It's item armor attachment attached to an ally, restricted, limit 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +2 hit points. Boom.
Can we talk about the cost of this? Like 2 hit points for 1 cost. Like compare that to like things that give you hit points. And draft, I think, is 1 cost for 2 hit points. But I think
typically I want to say it's 1-to-1, right? Because Ancestral Armor costs 4 and gives you 4 points of stats, right? 2 defense, 2 hit points. Citadel Plate costs 4 for 4 hit points. So I say generally it's 1 cost for 1 stat, including hit points, generally.
Right.
And this card's giving you a little bit better of economy, right? Because it's 1 for 2.
Right. And so I think that's good. I guess the problem, ? Is that it goes on an ally, right? Like, it's not going on a hero. So,
right.
So, Ted, I wanted to talk a little bit about the cost and the hit points before you got into what you had to say. But what do you have to say about this card?
Well, it's kind of weird. It's like one of the few ally-only attachments. Most things are like there's definitely lots of attachments for heroes. There's a lot for characters, and this one is ally-only. I think restricted is fair, but to give an ally extra hit points, it's a bit strange. There's definitely good targets for it, especially really frail, important allies. I could actually, like, if someone put a Squire's Helm on my Warden of Healing,
right, you're not going to be upset about that.
Right. So there's a couple of one cost allies that could really use this boost.
One
and
cost
then, of
allies
course,
or one hit point allies?
I'm sorry, one hit point allies.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
wonder.
There's
I
one
mean, they're
hit point
probably
allies that could.
they
There probably are one
cost,
cost.
right?
But there's plenty of 2 cost allies that only have one single hit point, right?
Right.
And could use a boost.
Right.
And it's like, and they have more hit points too. It's kind of like you want them to be like defending. You want them to maybe, I mean, they can soak archery, or it lets you distribute damage easier too if you have treacheries that force you to take damage.
Right.
And then your allies will survive until you can heal them, or they'll just survive longer if you have no healing. So that is certainly a value there.
Right.
What about you?
Well, I think that this goes on to one hit point allies, and then you have to look at the one hit point allies that you want to get kept around for a while, right? And so, there's 2 that come to mind almost right off the bat, which is weird. So the first one I think is low hanging fruit, which is the Defender of Ramas, which is 4 defense but 1 hit point.
Oh yeah, he's a good target for this.
And so 4 defense and 1 hit point is really, because you get a shadow card that says deal 1 hit point to the defending character, and now it doesn't matter how many. It could be 3,000 defense, right?
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it's done. So having the 2 extra hit points on that, you're spending 3 for it. You're spending 2 on the defender and 1 on the helm, and you get a 4 defense, 3 hit point. And I think that that's reasonable. The other thing is, and this is this is going to maybe out me here, but playing solo, I've learned that your deck needs to do everything, and when you have a deck and that deck is light on willpower, for late game, what's the solution to willpower? It's the Aether Swordsman. Aether Swordsman is the Outlands character that gets +1 willpower for each copy of Aether Swordsman. Every Outlands character gets +1 willpower for each Aether Swordsman. So you have 1 Aether Swordsman to play. You get 2. It's 2 willpower. You get 2 Aether Swordsmen in play. That's 6 willpower. You have all 3 of them. That's every one of them has 4 willpower, and it's 12.
Yeah.
And they each have 1 hit point, and then you put a Squire's Helm on them to protect them from the Necromancer's reach, and then do 1 damage to a target questing character. Like all that stuff. So those are the 2 big targets that I've used this on to effect. Like a lot of times you don't want to, let me say this. Outside of a Dale deck, like you have to know that a Dale deck is kind of a unique beast when it comes to attachments, right? This thing probably is going to come in for free in a Dale deck, because you get to reduce the cost of it, like whatever, and then you can put it in a lot of different places and things like that. So, that's the beauty of this, is it's only restricted to allies. It's not restricted to, a warrior or leadership or a Gondor or Dale. Like you can put it anywhere you want. It's just got to be an ally. So, so that's where I play this, and it's nice
those
because it can
those
go
are
on,
really good targets.
because it costs 1. I don't mind spending 1 and putting this on not those characters, right? Like
Sure, there's a lot of those are
every Sylvan deck has leadership access, so it could go into a Sylvan deck, and you can put it on some of those things, particularly squishy, right?
Yeah. Notoriously frail, right? So, right. That
I
definitely
don't, but
helps.
you could,
But I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so making those weak allies that only have 1 hit point, I think is definitely worth it in some cases. I've definitely I've seen Ether Swordsman go, and I've seen Warden of Healings go. And then there's a bunch of new Dale allies that get benefits from having more hit points, right? And then inside the Dale archetype, you get to draw a card. It gives them +1 willpower if you're playing Brand. So if you have that hero, it's doing a lot. The card by itself is just like +2 hit points, but there are plenty of items that get bonuses from Dale specifically that, by having an item equipped, they get another bonus. They get extra willpower, or they get extra stats, or they gain some ability, right? So you're kind of just playing this mostly in a Dale deck to trigger those Dale allies' ability. Right. But giving them the extra hit points too is great, because then those allies can defend, or like I said, they can take archery, or you're less afraid of a treachery that says like assign damage equal to the number of characters you have, right? You can kind of dump some more on an ally and not risk your heroes.
Or a shadow effect if it's a defender or Ramos, or who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah, defender too. You named 3 super great targets that are part of it.
I named 2, and then I talked about Dale, so maybe 3.
Oh, okay. Oh yes. Sorry, you named 2, and then I threw in my Warden as a third.
Yeah. The Warden.
So yeah, I haven't played this on those targets though. I've only played this inside of a Dale deck to get those bonuses, but I think I really should consider it in a few other decks to really, like protecting Ether Swordsman is like really good. It's like a really good play. Because even protecting 1, but when you just get 2 on the table, that's pretty strong. So and actually even in that you just mentioning them, it makes me think of just Outlands in general, right? Because that's Outlands are all about allies, right? It's the same similar type of thing. And in Outlands, you want to have the Anphilos Herdsman is like the ally that boosts your other. Yeah, but this is like in addition to that. So if you don't see your Herdsman, you can protect some of your other Dale characters until you get it.
Your other Outlands characters.
Yeah, and there's plenty of just, like you said, there's Sylvan characters that can do defending, that can use the hit point boost, and even some dwarf characters. Like I think of like Ally Gimli.
Right. Which is the alternate that I have put this on. Gimli can always Gimli can always use extra hit points because he's going to be defending.
No matter what form,
Right,
any Gimli needs extra hit points, actually, every version of him. But his ally specific, and it's in the same sphere. He's a leadership ally that is Sentinel and is good at defending, so he could use more hit points. Right. So there's actually quite a bit of really great targets. I don't know if I'd include 3, but maybe do you put like 2? Hoping you maybe see 1 or something. You just throw all 3 in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on how much you're depending on the defender. The Ramos is your defender. How much do I want to keep this guy around, or do I have other options? So
okay,
so 2, 3, and also, like I said, it can be targeted anywhere. So 3 isn't bad. You can put it on something and say, oh, this guy's a decent defender now, so it's good. Quiz time.
Or maybe if they had 1 or 2 defense, they could now actually defend an attack and live at least 1 time.
I think of the Sylvan Tracker in the Sylvan archetype. It has 1 hit point, but it has 1 defense, but 3 hit points, which makes it unique it makes it interesting in terms of a Sylvan. So you give it an extra 2 hit points, and the turn it comes into play, it can actually have 2 defense, and now it can be a very good defender.
Yeah. It makes me also think too of ally Overhill and Underhill Gandalf.
Yep.
Who's the Gandalf that stays in play, and he doesn't exhaust a quest, and he's got 4 defense. Boom, just give him 2 more hit points.
Yeah, why not, right?
You know who's the worst target for this?
The Sylvan Refugee.
Okay, Okay, there are several, but he shares a title of this card.
So
He
Squire.
shares a name.
Oh, the Squire, the
Squire of the Citadel.
Citadel, right? I was going to say the Gondor Squire.
He's the
you want him
Squire
to
of the
die,
Citadel.
right? You want to chump the boy.
Yeah, when he leaves play, he gives you a resource back.
Right.
So oddly enough, the one Squire in the game doesn't want the Squire's
Helm. Right. Do you want to play quiz time? You want to have quiz time? So,
yeah.
Based on my very quick research, there are 3 attachments that only go on allies. Like, it's not on a character. There's 3. Okay? Can you name the 3?
Name the other 2?
So, the Squire's Helm is 1. Okay? And you've probably... Let's see. I'm trying to think. You may have played both of them.
I think
they're not like obscure ones. But
are you counting Messenger of the King? Because that goes on an ally.
No,
it's a contract.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm
Defender of the West.
Defender of the West. Oh man. Okay, so now that's not on my list. Okay,
that goes on a unique ally.
Right. Okay. You're right. Okay. With a sphere.
That's not neutral. Oh man. I feel like I at least had one more.
One came in this cycle.
Oh really? Okay. I'm trying to think of all the shields and armor.
None of them.
And weapons. And all of those go on characters.
Yeah, none of those. It's not any of those.
Yeah. I for sake of time, I'm going to give up. I can't get a single other one.
So one is Valiant Determination.
Valiant Determination. I was not going to think of that.
Okay, that one I knew going in. The other one is from the first cycle, and it's Born Aloft.
Born Aloft.
And you probably haven't played, but you probably did play it back in the day, but you probably haven't played it since.
Yes.
You get to discard Born Aloft to bring it, which is great on Ally Gandalf.
Holy smokes.
What?
It is great on Ally Gandalf.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me just think about playing Born Aloft in a Dale deck, because you play it for 0, and think about playing Born Aloft on Long Lake Fisherman, right? It's expensive, but you play the Fisherman for 2, you search for a card. It could be Born, you can name 0, right? Play Born Aloft on him in a Dale deck, draw a card, put him back in your hand,
and
play him again, search again.
Born Aloft is attached, so it gives you the things.
Right, and if you're playing Brand, Brand is the one that says when your allies leave play. So if you're playing Bard is the hero that says anytime there's an attachment that leaves when your character leaves play, put all attachments on them back in your hand.
Right.
So Born Aloft would always go back in your hand every time you Born Aloft somebody.
No, it wouldn't, because I think that in order to trigger it, it has to be discarded. Because it's action, discard Born Aloft. So it's like canceling Erkenbrand's point of damage.
Oh, you have to discard it.
Yeah, part of its cost is to discard
it. Then
never mind. Sorry, but I mean,
everybody, you can just edit that part out. Edit that part. Okay, you're gonna promise me. Look at me. You're gonna promise me. You're gonna edit that whole part out.
Nope. Because it's still a good play. It's just not. It's not as repeatable.
This is where you're supposed to say, "Oh, of course, Ted," and then you leave it in anyway.
Yes, of course, Ted. It's going to be not edited out. But that's the thing. Like, it's good. I think it's it's a fun Trixie card.
Yeah,
those earlier cards.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Lost. So, anyways.
I shouldn't live theory craft, because I may be wrong when I actually try to assemble the deck.
Yeah. No, I mean, but. I still think it's good. All of this to say is that Squire's Helm is also going to come back into the deck.
Is that what the episode was on? Squire's Helm?
Squire's Helm is also going to
so what do you think about the Squire's Helm? The art is just kind of like it's just the dude putting on a helmet. Maybe it's like Pippin or something putting
Maybe.
on the Gondor. I kind of got that vibe from it, the theme
But I mean,
wise.
it would be because it's if the flavor text is anything, it would be merry, but I don't know, because it's the Squire of Rohan and it's Eomer talking,
It
but like who knows?
it does. Yeah, I think it's one of them, and it could kind of be either. But I'm more inclined that yes, I think it's Mary putting on.
Right.
It looks kind of like like Rohan spears hanging up on the wall. It's a good art though, like
Right.
of the person. Probably, I guess I can't tell if it's a hobbit for 100%. Could be a young man.
Right.
So I guess that
it could be a
loses
squire.
points, but
Could actually be a squire.
it could be a real squire, right?
Yeah.
We're not really sure, but yeah, there's Esquire of Rohan, Esquire of Gondor. That's why it's likely one.
Right.
One of them. So, as you mentioned, so that's great.
Yeah, I don't mind the art.
Let's bring it up. Let's take the Squire by the helm, or okay, what does it mean to be a Squire? Like, what are the is it like an age thing only? Can you be a Squire when you're like 70? Is it like a apprenticeship? Like a program?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Where you go from Squire to knight, right?
But so if there's Esquire to journeyman
and then
knight, no, I don't know.
I feel like it's Squire to knight. I feel like, and then I don't know how that train, like that line of progression works. And then is Squire only short for Esquire, or is it two separate things?
That's the Hispanic.
This is going to be an entire.
It's the Esquire. Help. Okay, I'll edit that one out.
Is
the Esquire
is Esquire a title? What does AI say? Like, why don't we? Yes, Esquire is a courtesy title given to lawyers in the United States.
Right. It's the lawyer of Gondor.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Is this going too deeply? Do we know?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Great. So
let's ring this thing.
Why don't
on a scale from 1 to 10, Ted? How would you ring this thing? Or should I go? Should I do this?
I mean, it's got its place, and it certainly is good in Dale decks, even though you could easily pick plenty of other stuff. I'm gonna give it like a 6 because like hit points are great, but I want it to kind of do a little bit more. Of course, it does on a lot of other Dale characters, but I just won't. I'm not inspired to build a Squire's Helm deck. I'm not reaching into it to say what it's kind of turning a little, but like it's not a great card. It's
well,
political impression.
I think that every card has a place in the card pool. This card is great. If we're gonna go there,
yeah, we're gonna go there. Yeah, so I think, but there's lots of great, like I said, lots of great Dale targets and great non-Dale targets that it can fit into. So, and
I mean, my rating, I'm right there with you, except I'm always a little more harsh than you are. I'm going to say this is a 7 because this doesn't. It goes on an ally again. Playing solo, you want to have a whole bunch of different targets, and so while this goes on a couple of things and fits on them well, and it fits into a couple of decks, Dale deck, but like fits on a couple other things decently, fits into it fits into a Outlands deck well, like it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make it. I'm not inspired to build my Squire's Helm deck, it's just not a thing. So 7, but it's good on those folks that we talked about, and it's very good on those folks. So
yeah.
So there you have it. Okay, everybody, join us again as we are inspired to talk about more cards in the game. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube. And there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.